Hey everybody, Wendy Clinky with Blue Cat Studio. Really quick, we're going to take this piece of fun, funky wood and we're going to upcycle it. Cool? So this is literally something that was cut off of a pallet board, you know, one of those big shipping container thing, or not shipping, the shipping things, you know, that you find behind every last drugstore and grocery store that huge amounts of stuff come on. So I literally just sketched a couple of pumpkins on here with pencil so I'd have a sense of where I wanted my stuff to be. And now I'm going to do a really kind of gentle country style, simple design. So I'm using some raw umber, burnt umber, whatever it is. It's a brown. It's a little bit transparent, and I'm kind of creating a gentle wash just right around the edges of the pumpkins. I'm kind of on both sides of the line that I drew because I want to get some of that tone in there. And I'm not planning on having too many sections of this being like super opaque because it is just kind of a natural, raw, very, very rough wood. It's, you know, complete with like crazy splinters on the sides and rough cuts, but I really kind of like that look. Now, I don't know about you guys, but there's something about fall where I just start kind of loving on raw materials. So now I just literally dipped my brush in the water, and I'm kind of coming around the edges of that and almost creating a little bit of a stain. So don't forget, if you're just coming on and you're just catching this, say hi, let me know you're out there. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, this is just kind of a funky palette board or piece of palette. Literally, like I was on Basic Quantico the other day, and I saw somebody had literally taken us like a, hey Melanie, what's up girl? Somebody had taken a saw to like one of these pallet things and like had cut up a bunch of pieces, and the thing was just sort of in a wreck, like left behind, and it clearly was like rotting, and this was cracked and it's got gunge on it, and I'm like, that is exactly perfect what we want. So that's where we're at. So this is real wet right now. I'm going to give it a quick blast with a blow dryer just so we can see kind of what we've got and tune any crazy lines or whatever. So let's get at that really fast. All right, that works pretty well. And so, you know, it's still wet, but you can also see the brown pigment. I'm going to add just a smidge more, again, going with some water here. And this is a raw sienna, burnt sienna. What is it again? Umber. Dang it, umber, sienna. You know what? I will never get those straight. Raw umber. My bad. Well, whatever. It's one of those, you know, main painterly colors. So I'm just going to get kind of up here and around. All right, so now we can see that we've got stacked pumpkins, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and grab some cadmium orange. And this is a painter style cadmium from Blick. And we're going to go ahead and just kind of get a quick orange wash in here. Now I can really still see that wood underneath. And some of that brown might even still show, and that's great. Again, this just kind of keeps it rustic and simple. And we'll build layers, so there will be a couple of parts that are a little bit more opaque and kind of getting the highlights and whatnot. Let's get that orange in. Of course, these stacked pumpkins are supposed to touch. I guess I need to kind of bridge the gap there. So this is one of those super long, kind of funky pumpkins, right? Like you go to the pumpkin patch and they always have those really tall ones. That's what this guy is. And this one's maybe a pie pumpkin right here. And then we'll have a smaller, minier one on the top. Again, very, very rough wood that we've got going on here. And so you're literally just doing like a big oval on the bottom, and then the middle oval, and then smaller. So when I was kind of sketching this out, I literally kind of drew a mental line right across the middle. And then I said, okay, you know, we'll make the first half, you know, one thing. And then I didn't exactly divide this. Actually, I did. Then I divided this second half in half and said, okay, that second half is going to, or quarter is going to be a pumpkin. And then half of that next one is going to be the pumpkin. And then we have the stem filling up the final sort of quarter. So that's just kind of how I came up with the proportions. If you're interested in a traceable design so that you don't have to figure this out and don't have to freehand it, let me know. I will create one and I'll post it in the Let's Paint group. If you're not yet part of that Let's Paint group, just let me know that you want access to the tracer. We'll get you a link so you can join in. So now I'm grabbing some white and we're gonna just kind of blend right on there, right into that wet paint. I love how that white paint doesn't exactly look white. It just picks up all that orange. Maybe a little bit more along the tops here. Just grabbing a little white. So I gotta admit, I kind of had this idea and I'm just running with it right now. So if I mess up, be nice, cool? All right, and coming around, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Here we are. So if you know someone who would really enjoy doing this project, please feel free to share it with them. If you haven't, started following Blue Cat Studio, now is a great time because we do try and come up with fun projects for you. But again, this is one of those things where, I hate to say it, you could kind of just go dumpster diving and get your free thing that you do your painting on. Looks super cool. It's kind of rustic. Stick it on your mantelpiece as whatever design. Okay, so we're, whoop, almost dropped it. So I haven't rinsed my brush. I've still got, oh, here we go. There, I'm on camera. I had too many things going. I still have the orange and the white. I'm just going to dip right into my brown and going to pull, whoops, and some more white. I'm going to pull a stem just kind of right up here. And it's a little rough and it looks a little funky, but you get the idea, right? And we don't have to be perfect around here. I think I'm going to add just a little bit of a base down here. And notice that it's not exactly white. It's light, but because I've got all these other colors on my brush, it's picking up all those colors and just creating a really pretty just blend. And I lift a little bit of distance. God, I cannot talk today. Yeah, so, yeah, my tongue. Tripping over it. Anyways, so I left a little bit of a distance between this base portion and the pumpkin, and it's still that brown color, so it's going to kind of look like a shadow, right? So now that we've got this stem up here, the white's not really what we want. So we're going to grab a little bit more brown and a white, just kind of blend it until we get a lighter color that works for us. That's still brown. We'll kind of come over that here. So as this starts to dry, I'm seeing that the orange is getting very, very deep and it's kind of sinking way into the background. So I'm going to quickly offload my paint just onto my surface. I always do this, excuse me, right in my sketchbook thing. I'm going to grab some orange, touch of the white, and mix it together to create an opaque or more opaque, but still intense deep color. And we'll just come in and add a little bit more of that orange. Oops. There we go. So I'm just finding that it's getting a little too deep in here and I want it a little, I want to amp the intensity. And so we do that just by adding a little bit of layers of paint here. Okay, I'm going to add some more of that intense down at the bottom, underneath, down at the bottom, underneath. Of course, I'm painting this sideways, so hopefully my sense of balance is working. Yeah, mostly. It kind of looks like a pumpkin snowman. I don't know. I mean, hey, we have pumpkin snowmen. If you haven't seen it, we've got an art kit that's out. I don't know where I put him. Where did I put him? Is he over here somewhere? Nah, my stuff's always AWOL. Anyways, we do have a really cute reversible pumpkin snowman that's like a stacked bit of three things. All right, I'm just adding a little bit more oomph down at the bottom. I want to make sure that these pumpkins are connected. Again, we are ad-libbing here, so I'm hoping I don't mess it up. Let's see, and Melanie says, absolutely, I bet it will look great. Yep, I think this is going to be fun too. And the thing is that if it doesn't look perfect, and it's never perfect, but say I've done a lot of work on this and it's not quite right, or I come back tomorrow and go, oh, I didn't get it quite right. I can always make tweaks to it. So that's the beauty of acrylic paint, right? I mean, super easy. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and offload the rest of this orange paint. Gonna go to a smaller brush. So just now that I've offloaded, plop that guy in my rinse water. I will make sure not to leave it in the rinse water for too long. Grabbing a little bit of the brown, I'm gonna kind of get a little shadowy bit kind of under each pumpkin, just a little. Then we'll get a couple of lines on Mr. Pumpkin here, but I'm not going to make them complete lines. They're going to be just little bits. Bloop. I'm just going straight with that umber. Let's get those lines down at the bottom though. So we're kind of hinting at them. All right, so if I can do this sideways, elbows in the way, all the things. Kind of coming up along here and here. Again, we're always thinking about almost like creating like a little oval in the middle. Do a little something along the edges. I'll do a little bit more here. Boop, boop. Something in the middle. And so this just allows us to have a fun fall painting pretty quickly. I feel like I'd like to add a little bit of green to this. Hopefully I don't regret it, but if not, I'll just flip it over and try the other side, right? That's what we do. So going for some Hauser dark green. Here we go. Haha. This is just a nice kind of foresty green. It's a good deep color too. I feel like I want to I want to warm it up and I want to dull it down. So I'm going to add a bit of sort of a deep cadmium yellow to it. And that gives me something just shy of an olive green. Okay, so I use that big brush mostly for mixing. I don't want to use a big brush on this guy right now. So coming in and grabbing some of that. We'll add a bit of green to that stem. And I think we can maybe even get away with some vines. So I will start with just kind of a light swoosh. And I'm using, this is a size 0 brush. It's not terribly big. It allows me to get pretty good fine lines. And we'll kind of come around here. And again, this is really rough. This is the whole idea here is that we're trying to keep it rough. We're trying to keep it rustic looking. I mean, you can see the saw marks in the wood. So it's going to break up my paint a little bit. It's going to absorb it in different amounts. It's going to have some frustrating qualities, but at the same time, when it's done, it just looks so cute. All right. So I ended up using a little bit more of the darker stuff. So now we'll come over it with bits of, oh, mousy, you went away. Little bits of the yellowy or green. And also because that green is so dark, it kind of just sinks right into the background. So we're working in layers. We lay down the base green, and then we come in with a lighter color, and then we'll probably even add some white highlights to some of these curly cues, just so you can really see them and they begin to pop right off the surface. And that's something I always think about when I'm creating a design, and I urge you to also kind of keep it in the back of your mind. Is think about your lights and your darks. If you have dark stuff on a dark background, it's gonna be muddy. You're not gonna be able to see it real well. Maybe if you're way up close, but how often is art really looked at up close? You gotta draw someone in with your magnificent design from afar first, and you usually do that by having a proper amount of sort of contrast, darks and lights, or values. Again, darks and lights. Okay, now we'll maybe add some leaves. Now again, I'm not winning in some of these places with the colors, but again, we still have room to tweak and mess. And I have to tell you, sometimes I feel like I'm cheating, but it is very helpful to just sort of see it on camera to see how that looks, because it's going to give me a more realistic and neutral vision than my own eyes. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I use my own eyes to judge how my art is doing, I often find that my brain makes up the difference. But when I see it on camera, you go, oh, hey, that whole section really isn't showing up. Yeah, so we have somebody who's come on. I'm not sure who, because it says Facebook user, but she says, or he, I like the overall tone with the darker background. Yeah, me too. I'm really having so much fun with the dark. And again, this is just rough, straight wood. If I'm not careful, I'm gonna end up with a splinter. So I'm trying to be careful. All right, so I just added some little green dots along the way. And now I'm gonna come in, I'm not rinsing my brush at all. And I'm gonna just dip it right into that white. And my paint here is still wet, so I'm gonna kind of drag it along portions of the vine. And so now you can see it a little bit better. Kind of get some in the leaves. And my hope is that it's picking up little bits of the green. So it's not coming off as exactly white. It's kind of coming off as, you know, light green, dark green, all the things. And that's why we also do all this layering. Aw, Melanie, thank you. She says, you're so talented. Love the way this is turning out. That's so nice of you. I'm having fun with this. And hopefully you guys are too. I mean, go dumpster diving. Grab yourself some pallet bits. I actually, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's funny. I walk around and I'll just like, if I see scrap wood that kind of looks like it's got a lot of character, I will just up and grab it, even if it's a little junky and rotten. Bloop, bloop, bloop. All right, so again, we're just kind of coming in with some white to pop those vines that are going all invisible. Bloop. All right, what do I see here? You know what? These pumpkins need some highlights. They definitely need some highlights. So we've got good base going on here. I'm going to get this guy, oh, offload, offload, offload. So I'm just literally offloading on this. It's a stock prospectus. I offload all my stuff in here. And it just makes rinsing the brush a lot easier because there's that much less pigment that I actually have to get off in the water. And that's why I do that. Plus, you know, it's that much less pigment that's not going down my drain. So let me tell you, when you paint as often as I do, all that pigment, it's going to start to build up in your pipes. So hurry up, sell the house. Just kidding. Well, not really. Okay. Evil. So I grabbed some more of my cadmium orange and then some white to make almost like a pale peach. I really want it to be a lighter color than we've already got. And so I'm going to consider the light. So if the light source is kind of from up here and coming this way, I know that I'm going to have kind of brighter spots kind of along the tops of the pumpkins because the light is there, and kind of along the sides of the pumpkins. So just going to add a little bit of shine, a little bit of reflection of the light. Okay, I did my vines first. That wasn't good thinking, but whatever, it's cool. We got this. We'll come down the side here. Maybe a little kiss right along this zone too. Oops, a little bit more curvature there. Here we are. A little bit. And some more just kind of coming along here. And I'm allowing that line to break. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just keeping it really loose. Loose is the name of the game around here. And so these were kind of just ovals, and they didn't have a whole lot of pumpkin shape. They were ovals. Hey, Pat, how are you? Happy fall. I know, pumpkins and all. Like, I know I mentioned it before, but I had my first pumpkin spice muffin the other day at Panera. Mind you, I'm trying not to eat wheat and carbs, but I could not resist. Like, I was just like, it is pumpkin spice season. It is time. I love pumpkins too. And I know it's finally September and kids are in school and hurricanes and tropical storms and all those things are coming through, and the lights flickered earlier today. And I mean, it's just time to like snuggle up with those spices and get happy. All right, and since this one is so long and it kind of creates this big unbroken orange blip, I'm going to add a little bit more highlight along here. And so it's great, you know, I kind of take these pauses, I chat with you, I look up, I check the camera, and I'm like, okay, what's missing? How does this thing look? What do we got going on? You're right, Sammy. She says September 1st opens all the fall doors. Absolutely. So I was feeling a little guilty, even like being like, oh, it's August. And I'm like, I'm all into the pumpkins already. Of course, you know, like by October, we're already like so over Christmas if you're doing a lot of Christmas designs. Although I absolutely love it. So it's kind of like being an artist and doing seasonal designs for months and months and months is the perfect excuse. Means I can get my decorations out earlier. All right, and then I'm thinking right here, again, we kind of don't have very good definition. Going to add a little bit of that lighter peachy orange just inside the brown line that I created. There we go. And a little bit more here to hint that there's a lobe of a pumpkin. I'm just filling in. All right, I think I'm going to call that one good. So I'm going to let this dry, but one of the things you could totally do is come back in and, you know, if you're really good at handwriting, you could do like happy fall. You could do this way bigger too. Again, just for perspective, you know, here are my hands. This is a small piece of pallet wood. I mean, can you see those splinters? I mean, those are like nasty. It's all rough and it's cracked. I have to be nice to it so it doesn't split down the sides. But anyways, so we didn't use any black here. You could, if you felt like you wanted to have like a tighter, crisper edge, you could come in with a black. You could come in with a dark brown. In fact, let's see what happens if we do a little bit of the dark brown on the edges. Hopefully I don't regret it. But if I do, whatever. I'm sure I can cut up another bit of palette and try again. Yeah, so a little bit of the dark brown. Yeah, just to kind of hint at those edges to really create a little bit more contrast. Yeah, that does help. Because we just sort of slap the paint on. I think we've been doing this for 20 minutes and hey, look, we've got cool art. Talk about like satisfying. So as much as, you know, it's really fun to do these huge, super involved projects, and let me tell you, I come up with like a bunch of those every single month. It's also fun sometimes to just do these like little simple, fun, kitschy, cute things that you can pop. You just sort of hang up or throw a nail in or take to the office and put on your desk and be like, we're festive. So if you had one of these or you were going to make one of these, where would you put it, guys? Oh, you like the edges not too sharp? Uh-oh, I hope I didn't mess it up. I feel like it's still pretty soft. I think that darkness just kind of popped the pumpkins to the foreground and dropped the background a little bit. So if if I'd used black, I think it would have really created a much bigger contrast. So I'm hoping that we kind of got it right with the softness. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Hey, Pat, that's awesome. So she says I should turn it over and put a pencil tree on the back for Christmas. Well, then, I think I'm gonna do that. Front porch, huh? And then seal it. Yeah. So if you're gonna do something like this on the front porch, yeah, you do want to seal it, and you probably want to use like a Helmsman indoor outdoor spar urethane so that it handles okay. Now I don't have much of a covering on my front porch, and so it's like it gets rained on, the sun beats on it. So if there's any kind of sap or anything left in here, it's all gonna leach out and look awful. So I'm kind of with Melanie, who she says put it on a mantle. But again, because of the size, this one probably will be inside. But you could totally do this on like a huge board and put it outside. Or if you have like a really nice covered porch or something, or an entryway, or you do like a fall design like every year, this would be so cool to do. And again, small, little, I mean, it's 23 minutes, 24 minutes in, and I think I've spent like half the time just sort of chit-chatting. And so again, if you're interested in a tracer, just write tracer or the word design or whatever you want in the thing, so I know that you like me to create one for you, and I will go ahead and get one posted. It's going to be posted in the Let's Paint group. So if you're not a Let's Paint member, just let me know. And so Let's Paint is my free group. And of course, my inner circle people, I will make sure that you have access to this as well. No problem. And this one's like out there in the open internet. So please feel free to share if there's someone you think would also have fun doing this project, or you're like, hey, Go get me some pallets. Say that to your husband, and then tell him to break out the saw and do it for you. All right, I've done enough talking. So yeah, let's go do this thing. Again, just write tracer or whatever you want if you want me to create one for you, and I'll put it out there. But you know, if you're good, remember we basically took it, divided it in half, did a big long oval, left a little wiggle room for the bottom, divided it in half again, basically, did the second oval. And then this one we divided in half again, did the third oval. Then the top half was for the stem and just sort of headroom, as they might say in the broadcast business. Y'all remember max headroom? We gave it max headroom. Okay, Pat, I will definitely get a tracer posted for you in the inner circle. And yes, inner circle folks, my members who are with me every single month, I will absolutely get this in there. All right, see you guys later. I love you. Thank you for joining me. And if you have any questions, let me know. Bye.